Hi folks, you're with Tasseless Today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the discussions going on in the United States at the moment about denaturalizing citizens who've come into the United States and they've been given a citizenship on the basis of the lowest of low bars. A lot of them can't speak a word of English, and they're just permanent parasites on the welfare system and so on, or engaging in all sorts of crimes and illegal activity. Should they be de-citizenshipped, if you like, and deported? Well, there is an argument for that. Once you lower a bar so far that anyone can get over it, then citizenship ceases to have value. Now, if you want to become a citizen and you've gone to night school and busted your ass to learn good English, and you can speak high school English, and you're not on welfare, and this sort of thing, then you're contributing to and you're showing and demonstrating that you're trying to be part of society. Similarly, if you're coming to the West, to America in this case we're talking about, then you're coming to start a new life. I can't make a go of it in wherever I'm from, Mexico or somewhere, Colombia or Venezuela or something. I can't make a go of it there. So I want to go to America because I've got a much better chance of doing well there. And, if you listen to people that are being interviewed, why did you come to America? And they're from some third world shithole. Why did you come to America? Oh, because it's less corrupt. It's better. It's cleaner. The public transport works. Better education for the kids. It's a great place for the kids to go. And they'll rattle off an impressive long list of things that are much better in America than the shithole that they came from. So, okay, well, wouldn't you want to start a new life in America and become an American? Oh, no. Well, excuse me. My culture, my country is Mexico. I am Mexican. But then why did you come to America? And you say it's such a great place for all the reasons you gave, but you want to stay Mexican, and what? What is this? Or I want to stay Paraguayan or Colombian or something. Now, this is the case with pretty much every third world country around, whether it's India or Pakistan or Bangladesh or nearly all of South America, that if you're part of the peasant class or even anything other than the most erudite city people, urban dwellers, unless you're from there, then the closeness and the association you have with your culture and the religion and spirituality of the tribalism and so on in these places, that's far more powerful than wanting to start a new life. Whereas if people come from typically come from a white Western Christian country, whether it be England or Norway or somewhere, Ireland, then they're coming to start a new life in another country. This is the opportunities in the place meant to play. I'm leaving the place I'm in because it's crap, because there's better opportunities there, and I want to be part of that society. I want a new life in that society. So they tend to integrate quite quickly, and they view themselves quite quickly. Their children certainly view themselves as American. As in those sort of people, when they come to Australia, they view themselves as Australian. Even according to the surveys, at least, provided kids do, say, all of their high school in Australia, or more, they could come as a younger age, but provided they come to a Western country from another Western country at, say, the age of 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there, then they will view themselves as Australian, or American, as the case may be. They view themselves as Australian during their own lifetime, and their children are automatically Australian. It's not even a discussion that they're Australian. This is not the same with these third world people. It's not the same. They come to the first world because it's so much better in every conceivable way, but they still view themselves as culturally and morally and spiritually superior to the West and the people in it. And so they're not interested in they're not coming to start a new life. They're just coming to steal whatever they can, whether that's working illegally, whether it's through tax avoidance or evasion, whether it's through scams and frauds. It doesn't matter. They've come to loot what they see as a fantastically rich country, certainly rich compared to where they came from. So, but they're not coming to start a new life, and this is the big difference. They're only coming for the money and to loot whatever they can. The amount of these third world people that have like 10 different names and they're working in all these different jobs falling below the income tax threshold and all of them, this type of thing. So the list goes on of frauds and scams and every imaginable scam they seem to have thought of, whether it's outright theft or fraud on a grand scale, like the Somalis in Minnesota. Now, in Indians are the same, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, all the same, Middle Easterners. And again, unlike the white Westerners who moved from Western Europe to the United States to start a new life, these people in the third world are not starting a new life. And just to sort of illustrate this, people that have come to the United States from South America, and it could be, it doesn't have to be Mexico and they live near the border or something like that. It can be, well over 1,000 miles into the South American interior. They go back to visit the relatives an average of 4 times a year to visit and hang out and stay with their relatives. Indians the same. They want to keep the culture pure and up to date and current. They don't want ever to be forgotten, so that when they're 5 or 6 generations Western born, the Indians still say, no, I'm Indian, and they still send back to the village of their ancestors for husbands and brides, as the South Americans, the Arabs, and all these third world people do. The Bangladeshis, the Pakistanis, all the same. They all send back. So none of them are coming to stay. No, I mean, there'll be some. They're a very small percentage of them, but are coming to start a new life, but only some. Now, what do you do with these people? Their view of a citizenship is it's equivalent to an anchor baby. That's its purpose. They're not citizens as in they wish to be citizens and start a new life. It just means that bit of paper means you can't kick me out. Same as if I have an anchor baby, you can't kick me out. And if I have a citizenship and an anchor baby, then I'm safe. So they see things and they're advised by the activist groups around them, the NGOs, that this is really the primary purpose. So to them, citizenship is a bit of paper. The Indians and so on in the United Kingdom say the same. Hey, I just want some insurance against getting kicked out of the country if the government changes. So that's why I want the citizenship. Now, the citizenship test that used to be around, years ago in the 60s and even earlier, it was fairly rigorous. Depending on for citizenship, it was fairly rigorous. You had to speak good English. You had to be able to say this and know that. To say it was super rigorous maybe is pushing it, but certainly it's far more rigorous than it is now. The test has been diluted to almost nothing, so that anybody can pass it, and most people who can't speak English just get some surrogate to do the test for them online, and so it's gamed and fraudulently dealt with across the board for these third world people coming in. Fraud is how they see the world, and cheating and deception is just how they do business. It's just how it is. Whereas people in coming from Western Europe, not all of whom are absolutely perfect, by the way, are much more likely to say, well, what are the rules? I'll abide by the rules. People from the third world, they just don't see it that way. The rules, who gives a fuck about the rule? If you've got people who've been given citizenship based on the lowest of low bars, that effectively anyone asks for it gets it, and these people are on a lifetime of welfare, criminal, and so on, fraudulent labour hire firms, the list goes on, then should these people be denaturalized, de-citizenshipped, and then deported? Well, there's a strong argument for that. And if you stop any of these Indians and say, well, are you American or Indian? I'm Indian. Well, then you need to go back to India. This is not a debate here about this. If you feel that you're Indian, then you shouldn't be here, and you shouldn't be a citizen of this country. You're coming here to start a new life, not to just transplant India into the middle of the Washington or New York or somewhere like that. So I would argue that if people have dual loyalties and they believe their first loyalty is to India or to Colombia or fucking Mexico or something, then they should go back there. Then this is not the place for you. If you want to start a new life, hey, come here. And if you've got qualifications and capabilities and expertise that we need in America, then you're welcome. And if you speak good English, but people that are people from Mexico or South America who've been in the United States 10, 15, 20, 25 years even, barely speak a word of English. That should be another criteria. Now, I don't believe in this wholesale throw people out thing. So okay, you've got 12 months to learn competent English. You can go to night school for free. It won't cost you anything. You go to night school for free. But at the end of 12 months, you have to speak competent English. And if you don't, or you refuse to attend the classes, then you're going to have to go. So I think the bar should be set pretty high. So any criminal activity, and when I say criminal activity, I don't mean spitting on the sidewalk or something like that. I'm talking about criminal activity that would cause the injury or death of another, or where the prison sentence is slated as being over 12 months. Not where it's a 2-year sentence minimum, but the judge lets you. I don't mean that, but if it's the 2-year sentence, even if you didn't get put in prison for that should be particularly repeat offenders. For example, if say you drink driving, but no one gets injured, but you get caught for it. If you're done 3 times for drink driving, I think that should be a case for deportation. So really, it's enforcing the law and saying, look, if you engage in criminal activity, if you're long-term welfare recipient and dependent, you can't speak English, then you have to go. If you want dual loyalty, you have to renounce your Indian passport, and you have to renounce that. And there's no way you're going to bring in your relatives to the country, your aunts, uncles, grandmothers, second, third cousins. No. No relatives are coming out. No family reunion. No chain migration. Chain migration is only direct. For example, say you're already married and you're bringing your wife out or your husband out or children or something like that. But ideally, you should arrive as a family, not one person coming out and then wanting to bring others over later. Even that, you have to arrive as a family, I would argue, and that should be made part of the process of migration. And if you can't walk into a job or come to a job or have skills that will allow you to be employed pretty much straight away as soon as you come in, or if your English isn't good enough, then really you're only going to get a temp visa and a temp work visa. That's fine, but then you have to meet this high bar of citizenship. And until you have citizenship met to a high bar, there's no way you're going to bring out any relative or children or wife or something like that. So it needs a comprehensive, I would argue, comprehensive rework of the denaturalization, a comprehensive rework of what constitutes citizenship. And if people have come in and they've got dual loyalties, my first loyalty is to Mexico, and I said, we'll go back there. We only want people who come here to start a new life. That's all we want. Or you can have a short-term 12-month work visa. That's kind of how it's going to be, guys. And in that way, people who are looting America or looting the West generally, but who hate America and hate the West, hate white people, but are happy to come here and loot anything, steal anything they can lay their hands on, then that's not the sort of migrants you want. You want people who are going to contribute to society, and again, who want to start a new life. Again, an indication that the third world people will go back to their country of origin, even ones they claim they're escaping from, because their lives are in danger or some bullshit. They go back 4 times a year on average, whereas a white Western, from the United States, will only go back once every 3 years. This is the difference. So their ties to the old country, they're not gone completely, but their ties are casual rather than entrenched, and which demonstrates again that they're starting a new life. They arrive as families, the mum, dad, and the 2.5 kids, and all that sort of stuff. They arrive, and this is again the sort of migrant that you want, and that default position needs to be returned to all across the Western world. And so these people that have been gifted citizenship without having to accept any responsibilities or obligations to the society that's just given them citizenship. If that's the case, then they're not wanted and should be deported. But it shouldn't be willy-nilly. maybe somebody's worked hard and worked loyally. They haven't been convicted of any crimes and so on. And other than an old age or infirmity, they haven't claimed on any welfare, then they should stay, and that's fair enough as well. So it's just a case of reinstituting standards, high bar standards, and again this dual loyalty thing. Now it doesn't matter if they still have a passport for I don't know, some Paraguay or somewhere. That doesn't, Uruguay, that doesn't really matter. As long as their first loyalty is to the assuming they've moved there, to the United States, and that they're there to start a new life, and they're not going back every few months to the place where they're not sending back there for husbands and brides and trying to bring their third cousins out, and that's it. No, that's not starting a new life. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.